What a performance from Demiranda and Karaevli, giving the Istanbul Sultans the unlikely lead at the end of GCL Round 1. The Berlin Eagles are trying to wrestle the championship lead back, and they might just be assisted thanks to poor performances from the Stockholm Hearts and the Shanghai Swans. And what about that track from Gregory Bordeaux?
For me, it was medium. After, look the result, only 9. Okay, after also a lot of 4 penalties. For me, it was a good course.
The big question now is, what will Bordeaux set for the second round of Global Champions League? Who will walk away with Parisian glory? We'll find out next. Let's head to stage 9 of the Global Champions League.
The city of love, culture, and elegance. Paris will be the 9th stage of this epic tour. The most fierce horses and their passionate riders on the highest class show jumping competition. Longines Global Champions Tour at Champ de Mars from the 24th to the 26th of June.
Will it be a big surprise for the Istanbul Sultans to win today in the GCL of Paris? Or perhaps will that victory go the more traditional route, either pointing towards the Berlin Eagles or the Paris Panthers? There were no double clears in GCL Round 1. And as we've come to expect come Super Saturday, where course designers like Gregory Bordeaux this weekend are expected to dial things up for Round 2. Perhaps the idea of keeping a clean sheet today might seem quite unlikely. So do those teams on 8 penalties feel like there is an opportunity, that there is a window of chance that they may well creep onto the podium and make up some championship points? Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, and the Shanghai Swans are both in trouble, and it opens up the doorway for the Berlin Eagles to make up some real ground, to try and get as close to that championship lead that they once held a few events back. Paris Panthers staring down the barrel. Can they finally get on top of the podium in 2022? We will find out by the end of today. By the end of Super Saturday, we will know who will walk away with that Parisian glory. Let's take you back to Friday, back to GCL Round 1, and remind you of some of the big talking points from the round.
Next team, Istanbul Sultans with Andre Americo Demiranda, who makes his debut on the team that sits second last in the championship. Now, good jump out of the combination. 7 clears so far for this team this season. Pace looks good from Andre Americo, and has the option to hand the team an 8th clear on his debut. Waits for the 6 strides. The time is good, and Andre Americo Demiranda produces what the team so desperately needs. Istanbul Sultans get a clear from the debutant Andre Americo Demiranda en Hilfiger van de Zuidhoeve. Over now to Cheston de la Pont d'Or with Ömer Karaevli. Can the Sultans produce a double clear and take the lead in Round 1 in Paris? Karaevli waits for the 6th stride. His time is good and he's on the back rail. It was a little bit long holding there to the Liverpool, and it's 4 for Karaevli on the last fence. That is a pity. The team takes the lead, but they had a double clear in hand actually in the first round of Global Champions League. Here Karaevli waits and waits, and is it then maybe a little bit longish as he holds it? They don't have the impulse. He cuts the corner as Bordeaux has placed that auction deep into the corner.
Cheston is actually a quite fast horse. He covers very good ground, and if you make sure as a rider you keep your rhythm the first 4 or 5 fences and you don't go too much out in the corners, then everything comes a little bit on his own actually.
Berlin Eagles powered by Fundis Rajport with Chemal and Chakra, with Kukuk and McMahon. Kukuk, half of his rounds have gone clear. He rode 12, 6 clears, just squeezing off the upright there. There was not much momentum and impulse in that turn, but it's careful jumping from the Chestnut. And here, the clear is coming up for Kukuk. The time is good, and Chemal, who jumps his first round and his first clear. Berlin Eagles, powered by Fundis Rajport, have a clear on the board from Christian Kukuk and Chemal. Christian Kukuk jumps another perfect round inside the time. Here is Owen McMahon on Chakra. a fault. Just the points, the penalties that will be taken into round 2. Here comes McMahon, a little bit closer to the time allowed, a little stretch over the back rail. 75.15 is the time. The Eagles are 7 seconds slower than Istanbul Sultans, and the Eagles jump to second. And that's where that fast time of Ömer Karaevli comes in handy. So clear and 4. Make it 4 in total for Berlin Eagles, powered by Fudis Rijsport.
Yeah, we were not happy to lose the lead actually last week in Stockholm, and we came very motivated here, Owen and me, to Paris, and we definitely want to fight to get the lead back, and the championship is in the back of our head, and we will give everything for that.
Ici Paris, stage 9 of the Global Champions League. Welcome to one of the most beautiful and iconic scenes that you will see on the GCL calendar every single year. And an important point there made by Christian Kuckuck following that performance yesterday. That championship is at the back of their mind. They know that they want to get their hands back on the championship lead. And the Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, are in all sorts of trouble this weekend. And the Berlin Eagles, one of the leading teams on 4, will know that if they can keep it tidy today, either a double clear, perhaps if that's unlikely, a 4 and clear, they can get onto the podium, they can make up championship points, and they can really start to tighten the screws on the Stockholm Hearts. Let's show you how it looks as far as the tables are concerned and remind you just how we sit at the end of GCL round 1. As you mentioned, a threesome pairing of 4s. Istanbul Sultans, the fastest of the 4. Just behind them, Paris Panthers and the Berlin Eagles. Then a handful of teams on 8, all the way down to New York Empire in 10th place. As you mentioned, your championship leaders, Stockholm Hearts, in 11th, in trouble. And Shanghai Swans, who we now spoke about as new championship contenders, well, they find themselves down in 14th place on 16 penalties. Even if they jump double clear today, they know that a score of 16 will not see them get anywhere near the podium. So, how much ground will they lose today? How different will the top 4 look come the end of GCL round 2? Something that we will definitely unpack for you in this coming week's episode of The Insider. Now, just a few moments ago, before we went live, we caught up with the Berlin Eagles rider, Filip Schulze-Topov. In case you missed the news, he has injured his leg. He has broken a few bones in his foot. And this is coming from the same man who suffered a shoulder injury in the beginning stages of the year. So, heartbreak and a big blow to the Berlin Eagles. We caught up with Filip Schulze-Topov and we asked him about his foot injury.
Yeah, the doctor told me I have 5 fractures in the foot, and yeah, it takes just a few weeks until the recovery, and yeah, the knee needed also a surgery, and yeah, I think the whole surgery for the foot and the knee, it took about maybe 4 hours.
That's very long, Philip, very long indeed. What is the recovery like? Have you been able to put on a calendar when you hope you might be able to return?
I hope to show again maybe in October, maybe the end of September. I think I have 8 weeks for doing really nothing and no pressure on it. And yeah, then step by step and always getting a little bit more. And after another 4 weeks, maybe 3, I'm full power again.
So you'll be back for the GC playoffs in Prague to represent your team?
I hope so.
We hope so too as well. Have you been able to discuss with the team this weekend? Is there a WhatsApp group maybe that you guys are in conversation? Have you been chatting to the riders that are currently in Paris?
Oh, we are calling sometimes. With those who are in Paris, I've had no contact so far. But I called sometimes with Philip and Lutger. And yeah, we all together hope the best and for the fast recovery. And yeah, then we will see.
Have you been able to watch the performance from GCL round 1? Did you catch their performance?
Sure, yes. I watched it yesterday. Yeah, no double clear round. Really interesting show this time. Yeah, some teams have been really close to it. Even the Berlin Eagles or the Istanbul Sultans. But yeah, no double clear round.
Christian Kuckuck spoke to us yesterday and he told us about how painful it was to lose the championship lead in Stockholm. Tell me why you believe the Berlin Eagles can take it back. Are you strong enough and how will you do it?
I think we are strong enough. We have a good team basically. And yeah, we need clear rounds now or rounds with less points than the other teams. And then it's possible. But normally our team is good. And in Stockholm we had not the really luck. I had my faults on the last two fences. The round was really good up to there, and Philipp in both rounds one unlucky rail. We lost points there, expensive points, but we want to keep it back.
Philipp, you lost a lot of time this year, first with a shoulder injury, now with a foot injury as well. Do you feel that the Berlin Eagles have the resources to truly be championship contenders throughout the next 6 stages?
I think so, yes. They will do. They will fight, and we have really strong horses, strong riders, and they will continue and they will earn points, I'm sure. Even if I cannot help them, it will work, I'm sure.
All right, Philipp Schulze-Topolff, thank you very much for chatting to us today. Best of luck to the Berlin Eagles in round 2, and good luck with your recovery. We hope to see you in the GC playoffs, in particular in Prague later this year.
Yes, thanks very much.
Great to catch up with Philipp Schulze-Topolff earlier on today, just to get some more perspective on his foot injury and how the recovery is going. The Berlin Eagles, powered by Fundis Reichsport, will then once again have to jump with Christian Koekkoek and Owen McMahon later on today. No changes for them. And as we said, one of the leading teams on a score of 4 penalties. They will know that if they can keep it tidy today, there is real championship points up for grabs. The difficulty for the teams around them, in particular Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, who find themselves on 12 penalties, and the Shanghai Swans just below them in 4th, who find themselves on 16 penalties. It was a very tough opening round in Paris. How will those two championship contenders compete today? Let's look back at the difficulties that they experienced in round 1.
The Stockholm Hearts, Keenan is on Queensland, Atwood is on Calvados up to date. And there is the first time that the Longines Paris Eiffel jumping vertical drops. It's 4 at the moment. Leaves one out, and by doing so gets home in time. 74.97. Lily Atwood and Calvados up to date, keep it on 4. The disappointment on her face, she is struggling to get that clear. Now Lily Keenan, first outing at this level with Queensland E. Here Queensland by Quickfire de Ferrand, out of Magie de Bonardière by Socrate de Chivre, and it's a plank. So that's a hard one. That is 12 now. And there's the 5. And it is 5. It's 12 in the end for Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M. That's 4 and 8.
I went second, Lily went first. She actually had a super round. She's an unlucky one down. My horse were a brand new partnership. I'm actually really happy because I think I learned something. It's unfortunate for the team that I couldn't keep my 100% statistic, but I think, for tomorrow we're going to be stronger and better for it.
The Swans are the next team to go. Sadran on Van Aan, her stallion. Deep, it doesn't get over the back rail, and now even the 5 will get a fraction long. Indeed, he really stalled in the air over the Global Champions League. And 2 down for Jean Sadran, and the Swans now on 8. Marlon Zanotelli on Cartaro. With his horse with a beautiful painting on his flank, but also Zanotelli makes the wrong choice coming out of the turn. And so Zanotelli is also faulted. Zanotelli with another fault on Cartaro. I think Cartaro had a look at the shadows of the flags on the ground there. And 8 and 8 makes 16 penalties for Shanghai Swans. 8 for Zanotelli, 8 for Jean Sadran.
No, definitely not a good start. My horse got a little bit spooky there in the corner, like Van Aan did as well. I thought I had a good distance and got away from me. Then the second fault, actually, I didn't really understand. I have to see the video from you guys from the TV, because my angle from the camera here, I don't see it so well. He was jumping very good. He gave me a good feeling all around. Was this miscommunication 2 times. Hopefully for Sunday we have it better.
So the two teams need to bounce back incredibly well in GCL round 2. Some live images on the screen below you there as we see the Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, getting ready to try and work out their lines, to count their strides. The course walk officially underway, and we get ready to go into the Paris Centre. Frederick de Back will be standing by for us in just a few moments' time. With an umbrella. I'm beginning to think you are the bad luck charm. Why every event do you go to does the rain come, Frederick?
I have no clue, but I did pick up singing in the shower every morning. Maybe I should stop it. I think it makes the gods cry.
At least, wow, at least you do have an umbrella this weekend, so you're looking much better. I can't say as much for the riders, unfortunately, who are not as lucky as Frederick. Can we...
You look better with an umbrella.
You do indeed, you do indeed. Let's start with the Istanbul Sultans, Frederick. Can we reflect on them? What did you make of their performance yesterday? And perhaps the bigger question is, how do they come out today? What is the game plan for the Sultans this afternoon?
It's always about perspective. When they brought in André Américo de Miranda at the beginning of the season, I did not know what to expect from him. For him to make his debut in Chanticleer, that is strong. But then you have to look at how the rest of the field plays out. This was the toughest first round of the entire season. And for them, their debutant to jump clear, and their second rider, Ömer Karavli, to jump on 4 faults, that's actually a very strong performance. So you have to put it in the right perspective, and you have to praise them for being fast and come out with just 4 faults, 4 penalties. Nobody had a double clear, nobody had a clean sheet overnight. So the performance of the Sultans should really be regarded highly, with especially that clear debut of André Américo de Miranda. How will they come out this afternoon? There's nothing for them to win on the championship. They're not top 4 contenders. They're not championship contenders. They have to look at individual stage performances. Can they make it their first win? Could they make it their first ever podium? I mean, I think their best result so far has been 7th place. Anything better than 7th place is already a top season performance. But let's be honest, this is a unique opportunity for the Sultans to really shine on this platform. They will not shine at the end of the season on the overall ranking. They can shine here now in Paris. They have to pick their battles, and this is a very important one on the Champ de Mars.
So much like an LGCT Grand Prix jump-off, perhaps, risk it all, forget the championship, go for glory today for the Istanbul Sultans. You mentioned Di Miranda, these standout debutants. It probably wasn't as good for the rest of the debutants yesterday, and whether they were making a GCL debutant or they were a debutant for a new team, it was tough going for those debutants yesterday. Are there lessons that they can maybe learn from round 1 that they can apply to round 2?
Well, none of the new signings of Global Champions League jumped clear. If you look at Cadefila, if you look at Sanotelli, Emerick Georges, Edvard Smits, none of them jumped clear. I'm not going to call it a reality check, but it does show you that this is tough jumping. Now, again, this also needs the perspective, where Emerick Georges and Smits come out with low scores, with low penalty scores. So they did perform well, but it didn't jump clear. What can they learn from this? This ring is so difficult, Mark, and that's what makes it so special. If this would have been Hamburg or maybe Madrid, it would have been a little bit easier riding, I think. But to come here for the first time on GCL with that new format in your mind, the back of your mind, with the team pressure on your shoulders, and then in such a difficult ring as it is here in Paris, that is, I think, what shook some of those new signings on the GCL teams.
A real tricky stage. The Berlin Eagles, Frederick, putting in a really good performance off the back of Christian Kukoc, telling us that they want to get that championship lead back. Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M. Shanghai Swans, both struggling as well. Let's try to bring up a virtual table like we like to do here and show you how things would look had we ended GCL round 2 today. Frederick, this is getting awfully tight at the top. The top 4 battle gets incredibly exciting as well. I'm guessing that this leaves absolutely no room for error, correct?
Absolutely not. Shanghai Swans don't have any room for error, though they are in a low spot on a score of 16. They are 13th at the moment after round 1. But as it stands now, they would lose not just their top 4 position, they would drop 2 places down to 6. Hamburg Giants would even climb up to 5th, and Madrid in Motion would go back into 4th place. So Swans are really under threat. Now, there will be a lot of jumping to do, and Bordeaux said he was going to make this even more technical for the second round. I've walked it already. It doesn't look bigger, but it might be even more technical, more challenging. So there isn't any room for error. That virtual standing gives you a good indication. I do think that a few of those team managers are aware of what has happened in round 1, especially for the Shanghai Swans. They are massively on the back foot on that score of 16. They are a long way off. But then you've got teams on 8 and on 4, Eagles on 4, Prague Lions and Madrid Motion both on 8. That is just one real difference. And you have to keep a few things in mind. There is the score, the penalties that you take out of the second round and that complete your result here at the stage. But also, how many teams do you find between yourself and your rivals? And with so many teams sitting on a score of 8 overnight, I think it's, what did I say? It's 7 teams on a score of 8. So much can happen. You can still ride a very, very good round and find yourself way adrift of your rivaling teams with all those teams sitting on those same scores. So that means, Mark, that actually combined time is going to be crucial in this second round of Global Champions League. And it hasn't been much of an important factor this season so far, but I do believe that here in Paris, the combined times of the teams will really decide on the placings of the stage, but also on valuable points on the championship table.
All right, combined times becoming crucial today. Frederik De Backer, we'll let you get into position. We'll come back to you for a bit of course unpacking in a few moments' time. We need to hear from our current round one leaders and from the course designer as well. We caught up with Omar Karaevli from the Istanbul Sultans, who find themselves in a very rare position to go on and dominate. And as Frederik said, chase glory today. Forget the championship standings. Go for glory today and try and grab your first ever GCL stage win in Paris. Let's hear from Omar Karaevli.
Was nice, yes. It feels very comfortable after you finish the first round in the lead, but still a long way to go.
Very long way to go. It was the debut of André Américo de Miranda. He went clear. How was he feeling about this performance?
I think he was also very happy about it, and he did a very nice round, very good, very strong round. So we hope to continue. It only motivates you more when you have such a first round. Okay, I was not expecting after I had one down that we would be in the lead, but it shows a bit how tough or challenging the course was. So, but when you are in the lead, it only motivates you to do even better.
What is a good day? What is a good outcome for Istanbul Sultans going into round 2 as leaders?
I think today it's the right day, but we were always thinking from the beginning of the season that the second part of the season would be our goal to get better and get used to it, because the horses need time in the venues. But now with this motivation of the first round, I think we have a very big chance to complete this.
Omar Karaevli in picture there in that very recognizable orange jumper, making sure that he takes a look at every single angle, every single moment that has been set by Gregory Bordeaux for GCL round 2 today. Can the Istanbul Sultans stay in first place? Can they famously collect their first ever GCL stage victory on what has proven to be a very, very tricky ground in Paris? Speaking of the very tricky ground, course designer Gregory Bordeaux set what we feel to be a really challenging opening round. Let's look back to what took place and hear from the course designer to get his reaction to the course.
I think it was a very nice course, especially with the result. We have 9 clear. Of course, generally we have more clear, but I think here in Paris it's difficult because, okay, we have amazing landscape, it's very nice place here, but I think the ring, the arena, is very difficult because it's like that. I think for the horses, it's not too easy to jump with the good condition. Okay, the footing is not the problem, but it's difficult to keep the balance, to keep the good rhythm, and so on. Especially today, I wanted to put a majority of vertical and not oxer. I put, when you look my course today, I put only 7 oxer, not to spread, maximum 150. Normally put 160, and 9 vertical. For me, it was medium. After, look the result, only 9. Okay, after also a lot of 4 penalties. For me, it was a good course.
Gregory Bordeaux, what will be going through the Frenchman's mind today? Having a word with Geert Gillickson there. He looks focused, he looks confident with his track, with the ring today. How are the riders going to deal with it? He's already mentioned very important words there where we talk about balance, momentum, rhythm. Much talked about in GCL round 1. How talked about will they be come the end of GCL round 2? Well, time for us to go back into the ring, catch up with Frederick De Backer to find out exactly how it is looking. Frederick, maybe before we talk about today's course, can you maybe just remind us of some of the numbers from GCL round 1? Where do they stand? Where does it place it? You made a quick suggestion earlier on, but what do the numbers tell us about Paris in round 1 as compared to the year?
Paris round 1 here, Global Champions League round 1, has produced the lowest number of clears of the entire season. Wow. 19%. Normally we have around 30, 33. Now it was just 19%. So a low number of clears. High average score, the highest average penalties of the entire season. So that balances out. But the interesting statistic that you also need to keep in mind is that only 2 riders came out on a score higher than 8. So a lot of 8s, a lot of 4s, few clears, but just 1 on 12 and 1 on 16, and that was a debutant, that was Jorge Mate Capdevila. So if you put it all together, you have to say it was a very tough course. It was a very tricky, delicate course, but it was not tough. There were no high scores, there were no dramas, there were no crashes. And I think that is really something that you have to give to Gregory Bordeaux. He didn't over-ask the horses, but he did ask a lot of questions to the riders, and that's a very, very difficult balance to find.
Well done to Gregory Bordeaux, seemingly putting together a really, really intriguing, challenging track for the riders. Yesterday we spoke so much about the fountain, Frederick, about the slope, about the balance, about the difficulty. I can only imagine that today Gregory Bordeaux will once again use all of those obstacles, let's say, to his advantage. What can we expect today?
I just walked the course, Mark, and I feel exactly the same like I felt yesterday. This is not bigger, this is not overly tall, the oxes aren't overly wide. Yes, his verticals have some height, but this is not extreme. But it all comes up so quickly, and I think the key word here is rhythm and momentum. You can never lose the momentum. It's something that Lily Keenan pointed out to us in brilliant wording. The momentum. You constantly have to keep the momentum, you have to keep the engine on, you have to keep the revs up so that your engine doesn't stall. That's what needs to happen here if you look at this course. For example, fence 1 to fence 2 is already quite tricky. As you come out of the turn, you have to keep the engine on all the time. And if you look wherever you look, it's always in and out of the turn. And of course, the slope also comes into play, the balance also comes into play, but it's especially keeping that momentum going so you can keep that round as smooth as possible. Once you break your own rhythm with the turns that Bordeaux has built, for example, if you come out of that triple combination from Saint-Laurent and you have to make the inside turn in front of two global champions, there's so much risk that you will reduce your pace and that you will have difficulties with this tall upright. On a straight line, this upright is no problem. Of course, it's white rails and it's optically difficult. But with the approach, that's what makes it very difficult. And that's what you have throughout this entire course. You're always turning, you're always moving through the course. And you have to keep that momentum going, especially with the slope. The slope itself is an issue, but if you come out of a turn, the power drops and then you have to jump uphill. That's what makes it very difficult.
Frederick, I'm taking a look at the starting list for GCL round 2, and if I recall correctly, we spoke about a huge amount of changes in Stockholm last week. If I go through at least the last 6 teams to go, I see very, very few changes. If I can ask you maybe to take us through just some of the bigger changes, but again, maybe just talk to us about, is this belief in the current system? Is this a lack of depth? Why are we seeing so few changes for Paris round 2?
You would think that they would make changes after having no double clears after round 1. What I think that many team managers saw is that once you have a horse that feels well in this ring, one way or the other, you don't want to risk bringing in a different horse that hasn't jumped the height and hasn't jumped the ring with all that intensity. And that's maybe the only thing that I wonder about the bringing in of Eduardo Alvarez Aznar and Bentley de Sury. He was in Deauville yesterday, jumped the Nations Cup there, finished second, by the way, comes to Paris with the horse that hasn't jumped in the warm-up, hasn't jumped the classes yesterday. So Bentley de Surie is going to come in blank, and we'll have to wait and see whether or not that horse can handle the slope, can handle the circumstances, because for Madrid in Motion, this is an important stage. They currently sit, 7th on a score of 8. They have an opportunity to jump back into the top 4 with the off performance of Shanghai Swans. You can just wonder if that bringing in of Asnar with Bentley is a good call to make, knowing that so little teams have made changes. And I think because once a horse feels okay, I don't think that you want to bring in a horse and gamble. If something goes horribly wrong, of course you bring in another one. But no one went horribly wrong. Nothing went horribly wrong last week or last night.
All right, Frederick, before we let you go, history beckoning for the Istanbul Sultans, or does a more traditional winner come in and steal the show in Paris today?
You remember our podcast that we recorded before the start of the season? I say go Sultans. I want it to happen. It's the story of the season, where with a lot of surprises, where the top teams fail, where new teams rise to the top, and why not the Sultans? Why cannot they not make it happen? It's going to be a long afternoon. They have to wait right up until the end. Andrea Merico stands right just to the right of us. He's quite relaxing, actually, talking to his partner about this course. We can't speak to him. His English isn't good enough. He's the second last to go. Ömer Karaevli is last to go. Feels very confident. I just wonder, Mark. Karaevli, we've seen him ride a lot of rounds. Is he going to take too much risk? We've often said that the Sultans in their second run have taken too much risk. They are the most successful team, one of the most successful teams in GCL round 2. Now they have to live up to that name. They have to make it happen. Go Sultans.
Go Sultans. I agree with you 100%. Frederick de Backer, we will let you get back into your commentary booth. As always, fantastic to have you on the show. He'll be one of the many language options available to you on GCTV this afternoon. And I think Frederick de Backer, along with many, many other neutrals watching from around the world today, will feel like today is the opportunity. Today is the moment for Omar Karaevli, currently in picture, and Andre Americo de Miranda, his teammate, will be coming out as the final team. And if and when de Miranda can keep things tidy, it will be on a platter for Omar Karaevli to steer the team to glory and to pick up their first ever GCL title. And will they be able to do that today as the final team coming out? They will know that the Paris Panthers are right behind them and a slightly slower form. And the Berlin Eagles, powered by Fundis Reisport, are as well just behind them on a score of 4 penalties as well. The Eiffel Tower beckons. GCL round 2 beckons. And we get ready to kick off Super Saturday and work out whether or not who is going to be today's victor, a traditional team or the Istanbul Sultans. Stay with us here on GCTV. Round 2 of the Global Champions League live from Paris comes your way shortly. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.